Hello coders, good morning. Sorry I'm a bit late, it's 7:11. Usually do these things at 7 in the morning. So we're about 11 minutes late, so I do apologize. I was getting a cup of tea. Usual excuse. So what I'm going to do today is test the event listener that I have coupled together. And that event listener fires on every Symfony request and checks whether or not there is a user, and if there is a user, checks if there is an email. If there isn't an email, it forwards the user onto the account profile section. Now I've created a whole bunch of end-to-end tests to actually check this out from a high level, but I haven't done any testing in terms of unit tests. That's what we're going to be playing with today. Hey, Mo and Anjabo, thank you for joining, and Medjail as well. Thank you both for swinging by. So let's get into the code. I hope you're both well. So I've just ran this test coverage. I just wanted to see the code coverage for the units and the integration. So we run codeception, and then we require coverage, and these are the two suites that I'm running. So where's that going? Okay, so it's done a bunch of stuff. There is an error here. That's a bit weird. Let me add that as a Git issue, and then we can tackle that later, because that's not going to help the pipeline. Not one bit. Let me log into to GitHub here. Issues. So the main issue that we're working on at the moment is these two. The user logs in without an email, must create an email. So that's that issue, which is kind of linked to this one. But we're going to create a new one just for that error. I'm just going to put in that it is a test error, and maybe we'll get a report. I don't know. We'll put test in here, and also bug 2. It's definitely a code issue. And we'll try and get it in this sprint, maybe. If not, we'll push it back, but it really depends on what it is. Okay, so we've generated the report. The report is looking okay. I just want to see if there's any errors with that. Here we go. So I can grab all of those, and I'm just going to put it down in there as in code format that. Oops. Just so I can pick it up later. Because I'm not sure. Call to undefined method, C in repository. Okay. It looks like that's an error on the actual testing suite rather than the actual the code. But hey. And I'll also, just for my own sake, I will also put in the command that we ran, just so I can replicate this again in the future. Run the following. Okay, let's just make sure that looks good. Okay, submit. Okay. All right, so apologies for that. It's always good to keep yourself in the check. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go over to here, and this should have created some code coverage. Yes, it has in here. So we got code coverage, dashboard, and XML. Let's click on XML. Actually, sorry, dashboard. Let's click on dashboard, and what I do is I just load that. Okay, so actually I've clicked on the wrong thing, haven't I? It's that. That's what I want to do. And I want to focus on this one, the event listener here. So we've got 77% already covered, which is fairly all right, I suppose. But it's this one. It's this thing here that I want to deal with. So we've got yeah, this is actually going to be quite a tricky one to test. Is the new MacBook okay for programming? Are you talking about the new M1 MacBook. It really depends on what you're going to do with it, because the M1, I do a lot of Docker work, and if you're doing anything with Docker, then just know that it's not 100% supported for the M1 architecture. Of course, you can do programming on M1. Of course, I'm not saying that at all. You can certainly, program on M1. It's just there might be some hoops that you have to jump through. It's not as simple as just loading up the previous version of a MacBook and running with it. So I'm holding off. I'm actually in a debate as to whether to go down the full-blown Linux route and get a System 76 box or another sort of laptop that does Linux, and go down that route instead of going through getting a Mac again, because I've had several Macs, and which have been great. It's just with me, I have to. I think 16 gigabytes of RAM is sort of my. I run out of that very quickly with some of the work I do. So I would like in the future to go up to 32, maybe even 64 gigabytes of RAM. It's just because some of the projects that I've been working on have some very high, hungry resources that I work with, like Elasticsearch and Docker and other things like that. Basically, I run a little data center on my laptop whenever I'm doing any work. And so the new M1 doesn't support gigabytes RAM greater than 32, greater than 16, which is why I'm holding off buying the M1, that as well as the Docker support, until I can potentially get one which has higher RAM. So if I was to buy a new MacBook now, I would have to go with the old MacBook, increase the RAM up to 32, which is a shame. Anywho, a Raspberry Pi, yeah, of course you can. Again, it really depends on what it is that you're programming on, and what it is, what you're building. Raspberry Pis are great. You can code in Python on Raspberry Pis really, really easily. Yeah, good. I mean, if you're gonna just run Python, then just get a new MacBook. You've gone from very different scales. You've got the Raspberry Pi, which is not that expensive, versus a MacBook, which is incredibly expensive. Okay, so we got the account controller here, account controller listener, blah, blah, blah. And we instantiate that, we pass in these two dependencies. This is the thing I want to test. And we have this, we want to check these if statements. We look at the end paths in this method. Excuse me. We're checking whether there is a master request. If it's not, then we return void. Then we get the root, and if we are on this given root name, then we return void, because obviously we don't want to redirect the user on the same page. Otherwise, that would turn into a recursive loop. Down here, what we're doing on the token is we're getting the token out of the token storage, which is the dependency, and then we are checking whether there is a token, and if there isn't, then we return void. We then get the user from the token, and if there isn't a user, then we return void. And then down here, once we've established that there is actually a user, we get the email, and if it's empty, then we get the session. If there is a session, we add the flashback, which is this. Now that looks like really bad code in my opinion. Not happy with that at all. And then here we have the event, and this is where we set the response, make redirection. So that's in a public method. We could test that. This isn't actually being used, so I can get rid of that, I think. We can certainly test for these, definitely, I think. I think the complexity will be the session, and I don't like the way that's hard-coded. So we might play around with some refactoring, maybe. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's see what happens. So I'm going to create a, where are we? It's a unit test. We're going to create a new folder in here. We're going to call this event listener. Now this event listener was the thing I was struggling with. Listener, I can't spell. Listener. Why am I putting in another? I've lost the ability to spell. This event listener was the thing that I was struggling around with. Sorry, I was struggling around with on the Sunday stream. What did we call this? It is the account controller listener. PHP. Account listener test. And I'm gonna, just for laziness, I'm gonna grab this whole thing, paste it in here, just because, you know, I'm gonna remove, actually there's just that's fine, we'll keep that. We'll change this to be account, whatever it comes up with, and we're gonna change that to be event listener. And Yep. So that looks like it's all wired up. This we're going to change to event listener. Event listener hyphen, and it is account controller. And then this here is going to be event listener account controller hyphen, and then the name of the actual test. So in this case, we're going to be testing. Let's do something a little bit simpler. Let's do no. Let's get into it. Let's just get into it. The on kernel request. So we test the on kernel request here, and then we run test on kernel request. Sweet. Let's just get rid of this gumph, and let's format the stuff. Okay, that's looking good. It doesn't throw an exception yet, so we can get rid of that. Okay, so what we want to do is have an event listener, and we want to instantiate a new account controller listener. Now, this is where it gets tricky, because we need to mock these two things. So we've got the token storage and the URL generator interface. So let's do that. Token storage is equal to this create mock, and it is token storage interface class, and then we do another one. We do another one which is the URL generator, which is the URL generator interface. URL generator interface. URL generator. Yeah, okay. So we got those two. So now we can mock that into here. We can pass those mocks in as dependencies. Excellent. So the first test I want to do is to I want to pass in a request event, which needs to be mocked itself, and check whether this is master actually runs. So what we need to do is create an event. What's going on here? Why is that? Expected parameter of type. Token storage, but framework components. See, this happens all the time. I keep putting in the wrong interface. Sorry. Let's try that again. Token interface. It's that one. It's that one. Yeah. Is it? Let's just go to the source. Let's go to the source. It'll make my life somewhat easier. Let's get rid of all the other rubbish around here, and it is. Let's just take this from here. Token storage interface. Token. Oh, I passed in the token interface. There we go. That's better. Okay, let's get back into it then. We also need to pass in an event, right? So we do event, which is equal to a new this create mock. And what's the event called? It's the request event. There we go. Whoops. Sorry. Magic Mouse is getting a little bit quick. Request event class. All right, so then we do event listener. Whoops. We have on kernel request, and we pass in the event that we want to check. So what we want to do is get the return back, right? So we do output is equal to this. Now, because we're returning void on these things, we want to make sure that voids will return null. So the test would be why is that void method result used? Okay, that's fine. Self assert and then null. Output. I think I need to change this to be returning null. I believe. Null or... I'm not sure why that's having a little bit of a... Void method on kernel request was used. Yeah, I know, but void does return null, so... Odd. Okay, anyway. What we need to do is have an event here. We need to do is master request. There we go. So on here, we need to do event method. So method. We want to do, what is the method? Is it is master request? There we go. Is master request. Okay. And we're going to will return, and it will return false. Okay, so this we're mimicking a sub request. So test on kernel request with sub request. Okay, with sub request. Now this should return null because that is returning false, which means that it should hit this and just jump out of it, technically. So let's see, I'll run this manually first, right, using this. So we'll go into here and we'll actually get into the bash of this, into the container. And let's just bring that up a wee bit. Sorry. Clear some room, get some room. And let's do bin code set run unit -g, passing in that long group. Run that, and that should run that individual test. And that's worked. That's good. Excellent. If we were to set this to true, right? We come down here and we should get some errors. Yeah. So what we've done is we've tested the first part. So what I'm going to do is just bring this up and run the integration, run the code coverage again, just to ensure that what we're doing is sound in terms of the amount of lines covered. So let's go to, I need to evaluate the shell, and we're going to do make, and this time I'm only going to worry about units, not integration. Integration deals with the database. We don't have to worry about that. That's a bit, so it's just test unit and then coverage, right? So this should be fair, quicker, much quicker. He says, staring at a blank screen. Okay, here we go. Come on. Come on, go through them all, please. Okay, here we go. So, let's refresh here, and we should see... There we go. So we've got a bit of code coverage going up. We've covered this part. All right, that's now covered. So the next thing is this, which is a little bit more tricky because we have to get the request from there and then return a route. So I'm going to copy this, but we'll refactor it later. We'll move everything into a sort of a common before statement, right? So we can do the mocking of things. So we're going to do so basically this test, right? It's checking the root name off of here, and it's checking whether the root name is the same as the front end account, and if it is, then we return true. So test on kernel request, test on kernel request with known root name. Okay. Or yeah, with profile root name. There we go. Okay. With profile root name. Okay, so we create the mocks again. We deal with this. This returns. We have to flip this so it's true, which means that it goes down into the next next sequence. Then we grab the event listener and we inject that into the event here. So the next thing we need to do is actually create a request. So where we do event. So this is going to get very mock heavy, I think. Event method get request. That is the method name that we want to mock. It will return. Now this is going to have to return another mock. Yuck. Because this will return a request. That we need to mock. Okay. Gosh. Can I just do a concrete? So can I do a request is equal to new request? Is that... Because if I can get away with not having to mock this out, I will request. I think it's that one, is it not? The HTTP Foundation. So they all look like they're good. I mean, they look like they can all be passed in as defaults, which is nice, default arrays. So what we want to do is check so that goes into here. We want to do a request. Is there a way I can do a set? No. Is there a way I can do a request and then set? Aha. Okay, so can we do _root, and can we specify that to the root of this, which is root name constants front end profile? Let's just try and have a look. So root name constants front account profile. Okay. So we've instantiated a new request and we've set that like so, and we've passed that down into this event here. I'm going to just tighten these rules up. So this needs to be expects and then self once, right? So we expect it to be called once. Like with, and I suppose let's just tidy this up as well. So let's just go down, oops, here and here. There we go. We'll grab that. Oh wait, sorry. There we go. We grab that. So I'm already thinking about tidying up this code. Pass that in. That needs to be set to true. All right, so maybe we have a method that just flips this switch. And then we have the method, the get request will return a request. Let's put that down into here. There we go. Okay, so because this is going to return the front end account profile, which is this string here, we're checking the root name. What we should expect is in here, it should return null. Fingers crossed this works. Fingers crossed. So let's run the test, and what I'm going to do is run all of them. I might as well run both of them. It is account controller, event listener. There we go. We should be able to run those two. There we go. So 2 tests, and they've both passed. So again, I'm going to run the coverage, and we'll just do a rinse and repeat, really. I could, of course, just run the code coverage on these specific 2 things. Okay, if that has passed, we'll think about the next one. So the next one is the token. So token is this token storage get token. Now this token storage is the dependency that we've injected up here, right? So I'm going to need to adjust the mock to return a token that is a token interface. Yeah. So all I need to worry about is the fact that the token get token returns something that isn't token interface. Okay, so that looks like it's going through okay. Let's just wait for it all to finalize. And we're going to refresh the page here. We can see that that now has been covered. Whoop, whoop. So what are we on now? We're on 25% covered, something like that. Is that right? Or is it? No, 36. Sorry, 36% covered on here. Okay, so the next one we move down to is this. Which is, sorry, apologies. Let's move on to the next one. So this is on token kernel request without token. Yeah. Without token. Okay, so that needs to be something completely different to that. So let's we really should keep with the constants. So I'm going to create a new one, and we're going to do front end accounts dashboard. Actually, no, we'll do courses. Courses, and it's account courses here. Let me triple check that. Let's go over to the actual controller. So it's in controller, front end, it's in account. Let me just double check that that is the case. It's front end underscore account underscore, and we should have courses. Yes, that's correct. Okay, so in this case, we're going to pass in a completely different string, which will allow us to go through this. So we've passed this one, and we've passed this one. Now we need to hit. Sorry, going all over the place. Now we need to hit this one, right? So we get the token from the token storage. We need that there as a mocked method. So, where's my code gone? Here we go. This is running off of the token storage. So let's do token storage. Method, and we're going to run this as is it get token? I think it is get token, and it will return null. I don't think I actually need to do that, but we'll see. I think all mocked methods return null by default, but let's just get something that works. So token storage is here, then we do a token storage URL generator, and then again this should output as null. So let's run this singly. Actually no, we might as well just run them all. Again, they don't take that long. So now we should have 3 tests. Come on. There we go, 3 tests, and they've all passed. I'm going to just try this without mocking that method, because I do believe that all methods return null if they're mocked. So I'm just gonna run with that. There's no point in adding code if we don't need to add code. However, see, it works. However, what we should do is run expects, right? So we should do method expects. So expects self once. And I mean, if I was to put in another thing here, so actually, let's just run that, make sure that works. Yeah. If I was to change that to something else, I think it's never, right? If we expect it never to be called, I think that's going to fail. Yeah. So it's failed because it will expect it. So that having that in itself is a test to test that it will be called. But it still needs to return null. Okay. So again, we're going to run the code coverage. And the next one we're going to play with is the further we get down this chain, the more difficult it becomes, right? So this one here is so we've just covered that off. Now this one gets the user, so user token get user. And the next check is if there isn't a user. So we're going to have to mock get user and then return like null or something off of here, and then that will return there. Hey, Mighty Core One, thank you for joining today. I hope you're doing well. Thanks very much. So, how those the code coverage running? And I'll run that again just to be 100% sure we haven't screwed anything up. Put it back to what it was. Yeah, okay. So let's just check the code coverage. We're going to walk this ladder. There we go. So what we're at now? 50%. Woo! However, the last 50% is always the hardest. Okay, so this part here is where we get the user off of the token interface, and we check whether the user is an instance of a user. So again, I'm going to copy all of this. Don't worry, I will be refactoring all of this later. All of this duplicated test code. So it is getting the user, isn't it? So test on kernel request without user. There we go. Without user. That was easy. So what's happening here is that we get the token and we run token expects. We do method self once. It will return. We need to return a token interface, don't we? So this is going to return a token. Well, yeah, token storage perhaps, whatever. No, it's not. It's not going to return itself. Get token should return a token. So we need to generate the token. However that works, I'm not too sure yet. So token is equal to this create mock. And yeah, I'm gonna have to dig into this, I think. Get token returns a token interface, storage interface. Right, so I'm gonna have to mock that out. Set token, get token, token interface. Token interface or null if the information is not available. Okay, so at this point we want to mock the token interface. Token interface. Make sure it's right. Then we do class here. Okay. So what I need to do is method here, or expects, sorry, and we're calling on the token. Is it get user? I think it is, isn't it? Where are we? Here, get user. Yes, we are. We're calling get user. And it expects to be called this once, so self once. And we come down here, we will return null. So we want to make sure that it gets called once, but we want to make sure that it returns null on the on the method on the method which is getUser. There we go. So that gets injected into the token storage. There we go. There we go. We create the mock. Then we create the event mock, and we run this. This is parsing because we've set the root to something else, so that will pass. We will pass the get token because that will pass, because that returns a token, but we'll fail on the get, or we'll return null on the get user because the get user down here is gonna be null. It's not gonna be an instance of user. Okay. Fingers crossed this works. Fingers crossed this works. Let's run it again. We should now have 4 tests. And then we really get into the meat and potatoes. Oh, no, it's failed. Get user when invoked 1 times. Failed for method name is get user when invoked 1 times. Method was expected to be called 1 time, but actually was called 0 times. Really? Token get user. Is it because... Okay, hang on a minute. Let me walk through this a minute. So token create mock token interface. We expect it to be called once, get user. It will return a null. Let me see. What if we just comment that out? And run that again. We'll see on the code coverage which lines it's actually caught. Okay, so we got 4. So let's run the code coverage again and just see. We're hoping to clear this down. And then the next test will be actually to create a user and not have an email address. Or actually create a user with an email address. That's a good test. So we'll wait for all of that. Okay, let me just look at this. So method get user will return null. Expect self get token will return a token, right? Event this. This is the problem when you're mocking so much. It's like you start to lose your mind a little bit in as to where things actually are. I'm sure that works. I'm sure that should work, and I'm sure that we call it once because we call it here, right? That's where we call it token get user, and we're returning the token from get token, token storage get token, and we've mocked get token here, and it will return the token, which is here, which will then be called here, unless it's a call on the classes. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I'm clutching at straws now. All right, that's passed. Let's see. Have we made a dent in these lines 44 onwards? Let's refresh. Doesn't look like we have. So it doesn't look like we've called those. Rats. Still at 50% code coverage. Okay. Rubbish. Because essentially all this test is doing is exactly the same as this one. Okay. Let me think. Get token is... Sorry, that one. Get token. Token, this token storage, token storage, token storage, token storage, token storage, get token. We're injecting token storage in as the first dependency. So the first dependency is token storage. This stupid token storage. Okay, so we're passing that in, token storage, and it's this token storage. This token storage is, oops, is this. So this token storage get token. If the token is not get token, I think I might have to run this, just this this once with this. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do just to nail it down, just to be completely nailed to the ground, I'm going to run -G of specifically this test. And then what I'm going to do, so we'll make sure it still works. So it's only going to run the one test. Yeah. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get to the makefile, which is down here. And we're going to just grab this stuff because I want to just get the code coverage for this single test. And I want to see what it's doing. Come on, give me code coverage, please. There we go. Okay, so then we do a refresh here, and it's doing exactly the same as it was before. That's not helpful in the slightest. If we refreshed here, yeah, so we're only focusing on this one now. Strangely, we're down to 40%, so we've done this. Okay, yeah, because we're skipping. We can see the things that we're skipping. So we've given it a master request, therefore we're skipping that. We've given it a different string here, a root name, so it's skipping that. We've given it a token storage, but this is the thing. This is the problem. We're returning null here, and we don't want to. So we're saying that the token instance of getToken is not a token interface. So there is something wrong with this. We're saying that token is not token interface. So this smells like it's there's a problem with the namespaces, right? Because there's going to be more than one class that has a token that's more than one interface that's called token interface. I suspect in the Symfony framework I've probably called the wrong one. So let's jump into here a minute. Let's actually grab that from there. Actually, we'll do it from, just to be 100% sure. It's this, isn't it? There we go. That's the thing that we want. And we are going to go back into our tests and we're going to have a look and see if that's any different. It's not. Well, it's not that problem. That's annoying. That's quite annoying. Oh wait, it needs to be in a class that implements that interface, doesn't it? Silly me. Yeah, it needs to be a class. I think it does at least. So we're mocking the interface, but I think we actually need to. It's down here, isn't it? It's this token interface. I think this needs to be. I think this needs to be different. All right, I need to find something that implements the token interface. Let's go down that path. So token interface. User authentication. We're going to go into the vendor directory, which is in here, and we're going to load up Symfony, and I'm going to just find token interface, and we're going to look for something that implements that. So it's not as easy as I thought. Let's have a look at there we go. Null token. abstract token. Abstract token implements that. So let's see if we can find something that extends that. Aha, anonymous token. Okay, so the anonymous token extends the abstract token. The abstract token implements the token interface. So we're going to see if we can pass in the anonymous token. So let's try that out. I don't know if this is going to work. No idea. We'll see. Anonymous token. Anonymous token should have we got get secret, get credentials, serialize. On the abstract token we have get roles, get username, get user. That's what we want. That's what we want, and it's public, which is good. Okay, let's roll again. I knew the token and the session later on will trip me up. Okay, we've still got 40% though. Come on, come on. No, that hasn't touched it. That hasn't touched it. How annoying. If the token isn't an interface of token interface. I'm a bit stumped, to be fair. Get token. Let's just make sure that is the thing that we are calling. And that returns a token interface or null. And the thing that's happening at the moment is it's returning null. I think. Creating a mock here. Let's just write that out. So it's just that. So 40.91 is the number to beat. 50%. Whoop, whoop. Okay. Right, we'll see what happens. I'm a bit confused as to why that failed. Or why that works, sorry. Sometimes it's more confusing when things work. So now, here we go. Now we've jumped down into here. Which is what we wanted, but I don't understand why. Let me just see if I can put this back to the token interface, right? Back to what it was. And then run that again. So user get token, get user. User is not an instance of user. We want to return that. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. Okay, we're going to just comment that out and walk away. I'm sure there is a rhyme and reason to it, but right now I'm moving on to the next thing because I know it's going to get it more trickier from now on. So this one here is where we do have a user and we're checking whether there is an email address. So what we need to do is essentially, like we've done before here, is we'll do with user and email. So with user and email. So we create the mock, the token storage, all that jazz, do all the things, but this time we want to return a user which does have an email, because what we want to do is run that and then skip, basically keeping all of that red, keeping that green and that green, and then we can work into the weeds in here, which is going to be difficult. So we need to create a user, don't we? We need to create a user up here. So user is equal to, and this one can be concrete, so we can do a new instance of user, and we can give it a user an actual email. So user set email, and we'll just do test at testing.howtocodewell.net, like that. And okay, so now when we return the token, we should pass that up, actually, just to put it in order up here. We do have a token here, and we do have a method which returns. So this is the thing that's going to break, because it broke last time. Get user, I think it'll break. We'll return the user. We'll just do that. We're not going to worry about the expects or anything. We'll just do that for now. Okay, so we got the user in the token, and the user has an email address. So we should skip all of this like we've done before, but here we don't have an empty email address, so we should be able to run that and then come straight out of it. Now I'm not sure what this, I suppose it does return null, doesn't it? Because it's returning nothing. So I suppose that does work. So let's run this. However, I need to change the, I need to grab that, don't I? That's the new group. And of course I've deleted all of that. Brilliant. Well done, Pete. Well done. So that's, I'm gonna have to go back to my make file. Sorry. Make. It's those. Okay, so we're running that specific test, and it has worked. We're going to run the coverage. We got 54% now. So on the methods, I think that's more. I don't know. We'll see. If we refresh here, yes, that's what I wanted. So we hit the green. So we have an email, and we just jump out of it. That's exactly what I wanted to do. So now if we were to run all of the things with code coverage, in fact, yeah, let's just run the whole, so all the way to this point here. And we're going to copy that again, paste this into here, because we only want to focus on this. So we should run all the tests, all 5 of them. So on kernel request with a sub request, on kernel request with profile root name, on kernel request without a token, on kernel request without user, on kernel request, I've spelled that wrong, with a user and email. So let's change that, because that needs to be, have I just not, yeah, that needs to be with user and email. So I'll just quickly run that again. It looks like we've got 72%. There we go. So the next one is going to be on kernel request with user and without email. Okay, so we're now in the green, which is nice. So there we go. We can see that all of these end paths have been cleared, which is good. Now we're on to the big stuff. This is the, so we pass a user which doesn't have an email address in. The tricky thing is going to be the session stuff. Really what I care about right now is the redirection. This session I'm kind of thinking that we're going to probably put somewhere else, because I don't like the way this is hard-coded into this file. So for instance, there could be many instances in which this error is thrown around the code, and I don't like littering back-end code with front-end messages, because they, well, for one, they're not translatable, and for two, there's a lot of room for error here, human error. You know, I mean, I just spelt one of the tests wrong. I could spell one of these wrong. So I guess what I would do is put this in a sort of a constant a file of constants, and give this an internal name. But thinking well beyond this, I'm thinking maybe we should put this into its own service anyway. All of that. I think. I mean, we can't. The thing is, as soon as we run this without an email address, it's going to go, oh, we don't have a session, so we're going to have to mock the session out, and then it's going to try and run this. But looking at this now, I'm not overly happy. This is the set response here. That's going to run make redirection, which does the URL generator, and it gets the route. Maybe what I should do is focus on testing this method first, and then test out this lot. This one here is just surplus to requirements. We can just get rid of that. I think it's not called anywhere here. So let's do that. Let's get rid of that. Let's do a cleanup whilst, let's just sort of take a break a little bit, do a little bit of cleanup. So it's that one. We get rid of that. Bit of dead code there. Anything to boost up the code coverage, right? Okay, so we're going to test out this. It returns a redirect response, and this is the thing that we're going to have to mock, the generate routine. It's going to have to return a route name. So in order to check that the specification of this does what we should do, we need to create a test. Slightly different test this time, because we're not actually dealing with the on request method, the on kernel request method. We're actually dealing with another one, which is the make redirection. And the secret source here, let's get rid of this and do make redirection. The secret source here is to check the route name matches this route name. Okay, so we still need to instantiate the. We don't need a user. Okay. We don't need a token. Okay. We don't need token storage. Well, we do, but we can just mock that out. The URL generator is the thing that we want to play with. We definitely want the event, and we don't need. No, we don't need. We don't even need the event, so that can go. We don't need the request, I don't believe. But we still need to have the event listener, and we're going to run make redirection, and we don't pass in anything. And the test is to assert that. It is that is that right? Yeah. So it returns a new redirect response. So the first thing we can do here is we do an instance of redirect response class. That's the expected thing, and what we're passing in is, let's call this redirection. There we go. Okay, so we'll run this. It's going to fail because we need to mock out the URL generator, but we'll run it anyway. I kind of want to keep that. Let's bring up another terminal. eval, go in as bash, and then it is running bin console con code sep, forgive me, code sep, and then it's run unit -g, passing in that make redirection. This should fail. It should fail because the URL generator hasn't been mocked properly. There we go. All right, so the failure here is to say redirect response construct must be the type of must be the type of string null is given. What's this? This isn't what I expected. Redirect response construct must be of the type. Oh, argument 1. Sorry, argument 1 pass 2. I see. Yes, yes, and because that is the first argument. I gotcha. So we need to mock that out. So we do URL generator interface. Is there any way we could probably make this concrete? I think it's the router. Let's have a go. I'm going to just comment that out, and we're going to do URL generator is equal to a new. I think it's the router. Maybe router. Is it that? Could be. Is there anything I need to put in here? Yeah, loads of stuff. Although that's null, that's null, that is null. What I need here is the loader interface, this loader. What I'm looking for is the generate routine. So, do we have, is anything, we've got set options here. Okay, so I'd have to mock that out too. Is there the, I might be completely barking on the wrong tree here. If we go to, I probably am, to be fair. What do you implement? You implement the router interface and request match. Aha, you have the URL matcher interface, but that's not what we need. You got the generator here, URL generator interface, that's what we need. That gets passed in as I don't know what. So it's not this class that we need to deal with. Let me see. There must be something I can just use. Let's see. Generate here. URL generator. Generate function. Again, we're going to go into the old vendor file and we'll have a look. Find in files. We want to, router interface. Let's see. Interface extends. I'm looking for a concrete class here. URL generator implements generator interface. That looks good. Let's see if we can deal with that. It's URL generator. It implements. Okay, we got the. That's rubbish. We now have to mock all of these things out. I just want to generate that. I just want to call that. Okay, maybe I'm going about this wrong. I am going about this wrong, aren't I? What I could do is just do, I could just do this. Method generate will return, and it is root name constants, and it is this one. Is that right? Oh, sorry, create mock. Yeah, I need to, sorry, that's not right. This is right. There we go. So it will return this, and we want to make sure that that returns a redirect response. So let's run the test again. Oh no. Couldn't parse test account online. Okay, there's a code issue. What's going on here? It's expected a semicolon. Silly me. Those silly semicolons get in the way. Okay, that's passed. Sweet. Let's run this again with code coverage. Just this one. Actually, let's just run the whole thing again. Event, that will come into here, won't it? Yeah, it will. So we'll run all those. Refresh, and we have our test on there. Okay, so I'm thinking the session here needs to be put somewhere else. I'm thinking about injecting the session stuff in someplace else. So I think what I'm going to do is comment that out for now. What we need to do is run it with a user without an email address. That's what we need to do, don't we? So we want to run it with a user without an email address. So just that. So test with user and without email. So we get the user, we don't have the email here, we pass that in. This is all true, this is all good. And what we want to do is, I don't know whether we should be testing whether it's null or not. We'll give it a go. I mean, it's going to run the make redirection and it'll fail. But at least we can actually see it fail, I suppose. I'm going to run that. It's all about making mistakes. I think it's just this one, right? So it's just that one. Yeah, okay. So must be type of a string, but null is given. That's the same error we had before. So I'm gonna just put this in here and see where it goes. Okay, that passed. And we can refresh, and we've got the event. The thing is, I might want to check that. There's no way of I can do set response, right? But there's no way of checking whether the response is correct. I don't know whether I need to go a little bit more in depth with that, or whether that's just okay. For now, I think it's all right. So if we ran all the tests together, let's just run all the tests together. We should have 100% now. Just get rid of all of this. In fact, what I'll do is I'll run all of them, all the tests, every single one of them. Let's do that. So yeah, make test coverage down here. So let's get rid of you from here and get rid of you from there. There we go. So we'll run all 284 tests with coverage. Just testing the unit tests and the integration tests. Just sometimes it's good just to run them all through. And I think we've covered all of this now. I want to deal with this session. I want to inject that somewhere. As in like inject it down in here. Okay, right, let's refresh this. We should all be green. Yay, we're all green. And we should be all 100%. Okay. So now I need to deal with this, otherwise my end-to-end test will fail because it's looking for, my end-to-end tests are actually looking for this. So I need to, as in an error message on the page. So I do need to deal with it. I can't just go, oh, it's 100% now because I've commented out code. So I think what I'm going to do is build a... I'm going to build some kind of service, a session service, if you will. I think. Let me think. Let me have a little think about this. Essentially, you know, really all I want to do is something like this. Session, or this, I guess we could call it session flash. And then it's something like add. And then we would do some sort of constant where we've got, so we would, yeah, what we would do in constants. This would be flash. Session flash constants. Session flash constants. And we would have type underscore error is equal to error. And then we would have message underscore, and we would call this something like required email, and that would be this. Wherever those have gone. And then in here we would do add, and then this would be session, oops, what have I called it? Session flash constant type of error, and this would be the session flash constants message email required. And we could even tidy this up a little bit and have a method that just says which encapsulates this. We're also going to need to apply the session as well. So we need to do this, and I don't think we should call it session. I think it should be session manager, right? Or session flashes. And we do this session flashes set from event, and we pass in the event, and then we do add, which means that now we're setting the session in here and we're adding that. And on the add, maybe we should refactor this even further. Maybe we should deal with, like, have a method that is specifically for this. So it's session flashes. Error required email, and that would then take into account all of this. Yeah, that kind of works. I'm gonna just comment this all out, and I'm gonna leave a little to-do message for myself. Refactor. Session flashes. Create a service for setting, for adding flash messages to the flashbang. Set session from events. Yeah. Okay, I think that's good. Okay, it's 8:29 now. I'm going to shoot off and start the rest of my day. I'm a PHP contractor, so I need to get some breakfast and then start some work. But yeah, that's looking good, and I'll finish this evening, I think. Yeah, it's looking good. It's looking good. I'm glad we got to this point. I can't run the end-to-end tests because they'll fail, because they require the actual message to be displayed on the page, because it actually looks for that. So we haven't finished this. We've kind of skipped this part out. I think what I'll do is I'll uncomment this. So this is untested code, and then this is my sort of how I'm going to refactor this portion down here. Excellent. Thank you ever so much for watching. Happy coding, everybody, and I'll see you again on Thursday evening on YouTube. youtube.com/how to code well for our podcast. That's exciting, isn't it? So it's at 8 p.m. GMT, and the next Twitch live coding stream will be this Sunday at 14:30 GMT as well. So I'll see you either this Thursday or on Sunday. Thank you ever so much for watching. Happy coding, everybody. Have a great day, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers. Bye bye.